welcome back to Stitchcraft. My name is Mary the Stitchcraft Queen, and today is Wednesday, right? Yes, Wednesday, December 31st, the very last day in December of 2025. It's actually the last day of 2025, so Happy New Year's Eve and Happy New Year. Very surprised I'm able to get this video out, fingers crossed actually, before the year ends. I actually tried to film this video 3 separate times 2 days ago, all on the same day, but our baby girl right here is going through a big growth spurt right now, it seems like, and she just got her shots today, so anytime I've put her down in the last 2.5 days, she has started crying within 5 minutes. So we've been doing a lot of baby wearing and having her just either on my chest or on my husband's chest to, you know, get all the cuddles and love and support that she needs during this time. So that is why she is here today. For those of you wondering, this is my favorite carrier, and it took me forever to find it. The first one we used was when she was really, really small. This was in my last couple of videos. It was the Sully baby wrap because she was, you have to be so many pounds, or the baby has to be so many pounds to, you know, safely be in these baby carriers. And so she was under the 7 and 8 pound limit. She's now well over that, at about almost 10.5 pounds. We just weighed her today. So yes, but anyways, this was my favorite one that I have found. Oh yeah, and after the Sully, we tried our Maybe baby carrier. That's the one I really wanted on our baby registry. And I like that it's very structured, but there is little adjustment for smaller babies or like newborns. It's kind of more, it seems like, for once babies gain more control of their neck and are a little bit taller and bigger, because there's no way to adjust, what is this? The seat area, I guess. But this is by Lenny Lamb. And this is one of their Jurassic Park prints. It has a lot of fun dinosaurs, which I love. I don't think I have any on this channel because I got all this yarn when I was still doing Instagram stories instead of YouTube videos. But I love Jurassic Park. I have a whole actually shelf over here full of Jurassic Park yarn that I will one day make into a blanket. We got that from Yarnaceous Fibers, but we will go over that again once I get to making a blanket out of it. But anyways, so yes, this is Lenny Lamb. It's their Lenny Light carrier. It has these amazing little straps right here. You can make them really big, or ours are really small so that it cinches this area up, so that it's shorter for our baby. Still is awesome though. It supports her neck so that, you know, you don't always have to have your head on their neck. She loves it because you're close to the chest. And it can either be worn, I have it cross body strapped, or they have it so you can wear it essentially H. They call it H strap, I believe. So each of these is like a backpack as well, where instead of crossing in your back, it just loops around, and then they have a strap, a little buckle that snaps in the back. And they also have that so that you can also carry your baby on the back, or back wearing, rear wearing, I forget what it's called exactly. And then you wear it like a backpack, and you can buckle that strap for extra support for both you and your baby. So this is my favorite one. I'm trying, fingers crossed, to order this in a couple more prints because we're already getting so much use out of it, and I want it to go with all my outfits. I mean, we're gonna be a very busy, you know, busy mama. I'm not slowing down just because I have a child. Although it has been fun to get a little more rest and relaxation. But anyway, so that's my baby carrier, the Lenny Lamb Lenny Light. And here's BB as well. Hi, here, let me move this so you can come over. Move the boppy out of the way. We have baby stuff everywhere, you just can't see it. Hi, can you sit? Will you sit, BB? She's like, no, I don't want to. Gentle, very gentle, thank you. Can you sit, BB? Be just. Sit, please. Thank you. That's a good girl. Our girls have been so good with the baby too. They've like kind of sniffed, tried to lick a little bit. We don't let them lick the face though, obviously. But they've just been so good. There's no There hasn't, even from BB, the one we were worried about, there's been no like jealousy issues that we can see. She's been very, very respectful and very patient as well. So yeah, we're very proud of our girls. Okay, but anyways, let's get on to yarny things because that's what we're here for. First, we're gonna start out with my works in progress or whips, and then we're gonna talk about everything I made in 2025. Kind of do a year in review, which will be really short, and then we will go on to my goals. Not really even goals, just my aspirations, I guess we can call them, for 2026. Because I know life is crazy, especially now that we have a baby, and I probably won't hit any of those. But anyways, so let's get on into it. My first project, which I have, okay, I'm going to say this, I have two main projects right now. I have a downstairs project and an upstairs project. My downstairs project I work on during the day. Obviously, when I'm not working, I work 3 days a week now, so not too terrible. But anyways, so downstairs project I work on during the day when we're downstairs, trying to get a routine with baby so that she, can distinguish between daytime and nighttime. And then when I'm upstairs at nights, I have a nighttime project. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But anyways, so this is my, hi, I know. Yeah, also, she can breathe just fine. There's these nice straps, and they have big holes, like, in the side. We're making sure she's not breathing into any yarn in case people are worried about that. Okay, daytime project, though. Finally, I started assembling this. I don't know if anybody will recognize this, but these little squares, the pink, the blue, and the yellow ones, you should have seen before. Again, I think this was, the last time I mentioned this was all the way back when I was doing Instagram updates instead of YouTube videos. But this is my Beatles Battenberg blanket. It looks a lot different than I had originally intended. The original Battenberg blanket, so it looks more like a quilt. This still looks very quilt-like, I know. But essentially all of these, the solid squares besides the yellow ones, but the green, peach, and this blue, in the original one, they're all one solid color. So in hers, they're all white. And then, the pink and the blue and the yellow are just random multicolored squares. It's very pretty. Looks like a beautiful, solid colored quilt, I guess is the best way to put it. That was my intention originally. I was going to use wool and vinyl, their Beatles collection, and then do Blackbird, which is one of their colorways. Do that as the, I can't think of the word, but do that one as the main color, I guess. Yes, that's the word. Mom brain, I can't think of anything. As the main color, and then all of these fun, colorful squares would be obviously the same colorful squares in the pattern. But in between then and now, funny because that's Beatles song. Well, now and then is Beatles song. But anyways, in between then and now, I also subscribe to Sunday Fiber Co.'s, they called it, what was it, Lonely Socks Club, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Socks Club, I believe. And so I got 2 skeins of another Beatles inspired yarn a month. And so I decided just to put them all together in a big blanket. You can kind of see how I am doing it so far. Essentially, I'm doing the same color in 2 rows, so it's like a 2-row stripe, but I am, instead of doing both of the colors in one stripe, I am alternating it or offsetting it. So it's been taking on kind of this fun zigzaggy pattern, and I really like it so far how it's turning out. I wasn't sure initially, especially after the first, before I had the green and the yellow on, which you can see over here. I wasn't too sure how I liked it, but now that more colors are being added, it's looking a whole lot better. So I'm about halfway through with adding the green and the yellow. I guess we can go over colorways real quick. So this blue, which this blue is the very first color I used, and it's gonna be the very last color. Because if you can see, there are holes that you have to fill in, And so on the very last round, I will fill in these holes with the leftover blue. So that's how I offset these zigzags and how I will use up most of that color anyways. So yes, so this one is Glass Onion, this one is Sunday Fiber, and then this one is Can't Buy Me Love, that is Woolen Vinyl, and this is another Sunday Fiber, this peach one, Penny Lane. The blue is Help, right? Yes. Help by Woolen Vinyl. And then Sunday Fiber Co., this one is Lovely Rita, and then yellow is Yellow Submarine by Woolen Vinyl. And I have already, so I already had all the Woolen Vinyls. These three were all finished. I had all, well, I actually had done the entire skein of, it made about 65 squares each. I ended up only using 40, how many was it? 41 squares of each, I believe. So the width of my blanket is 41 squares wide. Each square is about 2 inches. That means it's about 82 inches wide, which is huge. And I love it. That's exactly what I wanted, was just a giant blanket, because I love me and my giant blankets. And then I had most of, and by most I mean at the time it was half of, but this is the next color that will be added. This is Across the Universe by Woolen Vinyl. I had about 30 of these squares made up, which was only like half the way if I was doing the entire skein, but I only need 41. And I've been making a couple off and on, so I only need 7 more of these squares made, and then I have my entire next color done. So I've just kind of been making those off and on if I don't want to attach a full square, because attaching a square takes about 5 minutes. And so I can just quickly make one of those up and then be done with it. So that's the next color, and to be attached. And this one, it's a nice lilac, kind of like lavender color. This is Sunday Fiber Co. I forgot the name of it. Let me see if I can see it real quick without destroying this. Of course, I caked this up, and I didn't even remember what color. Oh, it looks like this one is Eleanor Rigby is the colorway, actually. Yep. There we go. So Eleanor Rigby is this nice lavender. So yeah, so this purple will go next above the yellow, and then Across the Universe will be above it. That's how the attaching works. And then I also, because I have limited time to cake things up now because of baby and work, I went ahead and caked up the next 2 colors as well. So this is the next attaching color. This is Savory Truffle by Sunday Fiber Co. And then this beautiful, it's like an emerald green. It like matches the green on this bag actually, but it's hard to tell because of the sunlight. This one is Hey Jude by Wool and Vinyl. One thing I realized too is Sunday Fiber Co.'s skeins are 115 grams each. And when I'm done doing all the attaching, because the attaching is basically an entire additional row of single crochets, I'm left with about 30 grams of yarn left. And with these ones, when I make up 41 squares, there's about 30 to 40 grams left, so very close. So this, I decided to do Sunday Fiber Co. just because they're a little bit bigger cakes, or skeins, to have that be the attaching, or the yarn that is doing the attaching. Just because there's a little bit more, I can make it a little bit bigger. And then there will be a couple rows where I will need to do Wool and Vinyl as the attaching, because there's like 2 extra skeins of that. And by 2, I mean 4 extra skeins, so 2 extra like rows, I guess. But anyways, that's why I did 41 instead of using all of the yarn up, because I knew we would have a couple extra attaching that needed lower, so that's why we did that. And worst case, like if I have to, I can always take a couple squares off if like I'm like 2 or 3 squares short with the wool and fiber or wool and vinyl. But I don't think I will. I did the math pretty well. But anyway, so there is that. Oh, I also went through too all of the yarn and I paired it up. So it is now sitting in my little cabinet. I have the complete blanket of the order I will be doing it in, so I can just grab yarn when I need it and cake it up real quick and add it. So yes, this has been a lot of fun. Still loving it, still working on it. Yeah, I haven't grown tired of it since I started. It'll go pretty quick again through this next skein of Across the Universe, but after that, it's gonna slow down because I will have to, instead of just making one set of squares to attach, it'll be 2 sets of squares, both the one to be attached and then the attaching yarn. See, I already rambled way too long about that project though. Okay, next project this is my upstairs project, the one I work on at nights when I'm pumping. And if I have a little bit of downtime, I will grab this out. This is my row 1 blanket, and it is I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's called like the Hammerschwink pattern by Stephen West. The actual name and the correct spelling is on my Ravelry project page. Last time where we were, you can see this little chicken. I literally had 2 rows left of this kind of green and blue color. And when I picked this back up, I was really mad at myself for that. And then I remembered the reason for that was I got so sick and I couldn't pick up needles for probably 3 months because I lost all motivation to do literally anything except for sleep. Like I didn't eat most days. That's how sick I was. But anyways, so finished those 2 rows, and then that color set went all the way up to this one. So there is the rest of that. And then the next color set, let's see if we can show it, is this red all the way over to the end there. And then the next color set, we go all the way to the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the next color set goes from the gold to this. It's green and pink, but kind of hard to see in the lighting. Again, I wish I just had better lighting here. But that was the next color set. And then the last one that I added is right here, from this kind of gray blue all the way over to my needle. I'm adding the very last one right now as we speak. And I don't remember the dyers, but the dyers are listed in order that I use them on my Ravelry project page. The dyes or the colorways or the dye names of each of the yarns is not in order, but I at least have those under the ones that I was given and the ones that I used under each of the dyers. Figured I did not want to go and I did not want to go and scroll through the makers' websites or the dyers' websites to try to find each of the color names, or after I added one color to go add it to my Ravelry project page. Just a little easier that way. This one got a lot of work because I was working on it while pumping at night. I still am usually. But now, I used to have to pump when I was upstairs, it was 4 to 5 times a night. Now I'm down to like 2 or 3 times a night because my milk supply has established and maintained well enough for me to do that. Thank goodness, because I can get a little more sleep as long as baby girl's getting and staying asleep. But just because of that, I haven't had quite as much progress on this in the last probably 2-3 weeks. I guess 2 weeks. So yeah. So that one will probably slow down a little bit, but I mean, we got 3.5 packs done, which is pretty good. And I haven't worked on it for like a week now, actually. Part of that was Christmas. I was just so tired after Christmas. And then going back to work as well, I was just so tired. I just pumped at night. I know, baby, I know you're okay. But after that, I was just so tired, I just pumped and tried not to fall asleep. Which is funny because a big reason I knit at night when I'm pumping is to help keep me awake while I'm doing it. So that's a good, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how full I am, to knit at night, in the middle of the night. So that's fun. Hi. You okay? Yeah. I think she's just getting a little hot. It does get a little stuffy sometimes. Okay. But anyways, that's that project. And then my last project, because I wanted a project I could take on the Go With Me. I was gonna do this one, but it's a little bit harder. This is not a hard crochet pattern, but it's a little bit harder to do that while on the go with a baby, and which I can like use my hands when baby wearing because she is very secure, but it's a little bit harder to like walk and or sit and or just do other things and do that while I'm out and about, and it's a lot bigger project to take. So I started another project, and I was very proud of myself. For this morning, so this is hedgehog fibers, and I am using you can see two fingering weights held double. It's a muscle burr cat. I am using right now, it's a US size 6. I believe it's 4 millimeters. And yes, I'm loving how it's looking. It's looking really fun. The, what is it called? Marling, I think is what it's called. I love the effect that it's having on it. I originally got these colors along with, there is a really pretty, like, kind of violet, blue, purple color that I got as well, very bright. I originally was going to stripe the colors in a muscle burr cat, but I decided I didn't want to do that, and I wanted to see if I could make it work up faster than a fingering weight one, and obviously DK weight does. So this is it so far. I just finished the increases this morning and got it off the DPN, so perfectly in time for this little update. The yellow is highlighter, and let me see what the orange is. I know it has kid in the name. I kind of forgot. No, that's highlighter, and it's Kid You Not. Kid You Not is the orange. I want to call it Safety Dance because it's like bright orange. And that's the name, or that's the color on the Safety Dance album. But anyways, so yes, so far very good. Working up super quick. I only had to increase until there's 28 stitches per side, and then you do the extra increase, so there's 30 stitches per side based on my gauge, and that's compared to having, I think it's 38 stitches per side on my fingering weight. So it doesn't seem like a lot because that's 8 stitches per side, but that's an additional 32 stitches I didn't have to do, which meant that was an additional 8 rows I didn't have to do. And when you're knitting on DPNs, it does, at least for me, it takes longer because you have to knit one needle and then turn and then start over and knit again, scooch your stitches over, turn your work, and so it just takes longer than on, this is a 16-inch circular. Chow Gu it has. I got the bent tip one, so I guess not bent tip, the bent end one. Just because I feel like it lasts longer, especially when you're knitting circular projects. So anyways, this is kind of an experiment to see how long this takes to knit up, and how much yarn it uses, because I do have a lot of random fingering weight skeins, and now that I'm not really knitting socks, I don't see myself really using them in like the future. So I actually today went and paired up a whole lot of them, so that if this does work and it takes up, however much yarn, I can just start casting on muscle burr cats to have as my to-go project, because I don't really like knitting socks, which I learned this year. But yes, so still turning out really good. Oh, the other reason too I'm doing this one first is I am seeing how I like the fit of it. This is my muscle burr cat I finished this year. But I want to see like how warm it is, and if like the thicker fabric is like a hindrance or not, and if I need to go up like one size. But it's hard because the pattern doesn't give you a size needle. So I looked at a bunch of other people's muscle burr cats that they made using DK weight yarn, and people ranged in size from a US 3 to a US like 6 or even 7 I saw. So I decided to go with a 6 and try it first because that's the needle I use on most of my other DK weight projects, or at least so far this year I have. So that's what we're trying out. So this one, now that it is on the circular needles, it probably isn't going to get a ton of work just when I'm going out, which isn't a lot right now because we're staying in because of, cold and flu season. So that is those projects. So not too bad. But again, it was like, over a month since my last one of these. So quite a bit. Well, you can divide that all this progress by like 4 or 5. And then remember that I was at home for a long time. Obviously, I'm still doing things because we have a baby and everything revolves around her. And when you have a baby, everything revolves around about a 3-hour schedule during the day. So yeah, you really only have about 2 hours to do stuff. And there's a lot of chores and cleaning, all the bottles to clean and pump parts. But anyways, so I probably had more knitting time when I was pregnant than I have on maternity leave, but that's a whole nother story. So yeah, now we can go on to what I made this year. So I actually went and I had a look at my knitting journal, which I just updated like a couple weeks ago. I didn't make a ton, and most things I did not start this year. I had started previously and then finished them. So the first thing I finished were my Disney Princess Parade socks. And that was the Vanilla is the New Black pattern. I love the fit and the feel of them, but I don't think I want to make another pair of socks for myself, just because I feel like it's not worth it. So it's a lot of knitting and a lot of really tiny hand knitting for a pair of socks where I already have socks that I love. And I would rather use my time and effort to knit like fun colored beanies that people are going to see rather than just socks. So that was the first project I finished. And really those ones, if I remember right, only needed the toe to be done. So they were like probably a good 85% of the way there. What else? Oh, and then after that, I started and I casted on, I didn't cast on the Sweet Shot blanket, but I started making that one. And then I also cast on my row 1 blanket. And then I was finishing my fisherman cardigans. I made a ton of progress on those and my row 1 blankets. I believe though I made a ton of progress on my fisherman cardigans, and then I hit a wall when I got to the sleeves, or at least partway through the sleeves. And that's when I really focused on my row 1 blanket. And I got almost all the way caught up on my row 1 blanket before I got pregnant. I believe I had 2 to 3 packs left, and I was still getting 1 pack every month. So it wasn't like I was just right where I am right now where I'm not getting any. So that was pretty good. And then I got pregnant. And while I, right before, I believe it was right before I got sick, I cast on our matching hats. And then it kind of just stopped. All of my knitting stopped for about, I would say, 3 months. And then when I was able to pick knitting back up again, once I felt better and motivation, then I started knitting these hats first. And so I finished the 3 Musselburgh hats, one for me, my husband, and then my baby as well. She has already basically outgrown hers. It's crazy how fast they grow. So if you are knitting a hat for a baby, unless you want like a photo shoot with a newborn, knit the toddler size and then roll it up for them because they grow so fast. I already am I need to make her a new one. I hope I have enough of this yarn left to make her a matching one with me. But we'll see when we get there. So yeah, that takes us through about halfway through the year, and then I finally had the motivation to finish our matching fisherman cardigans. Did that, and then I also cast on my Hue Loco Advent anthology throw and started that, and then worked on those throughout the rest of my pregnancy. I finished the fisherman cardigans while I was pregnant, right? Yeah, I did. And then, except for the buttons, but I finished them at least. And then I gave birth, came back, I finished my husband's socks, and he loves them, so that's great. I don't think I'll ever knit another pair of socks again though. But I did finish them. Those ones have been on the needles for like 3 years. And all that was left was the foot of the sock and the toes. So very glad I did that. And he's a US size men's 10, so it was a lot of knitting. I believe it was like 95 rows on each foot. So it did take quite a while. But I got those done. And then I also finished my Hue Loco anthology throw. And once that was done, I came down and I started these two. Well, I restarted my row 1 blanket and my Beatles Battenberg, and then just barely casted on our Musselburgh hat. None of them will be done by the end of the year, so we don't have to worry about any more finished projects. So yeah, this year I think one of the biggest takeaways was I was sick for a good chunk, and then after that I had a hard time wanting to knit for a little bit, so I didn't do a ton of knitting this year. But even with that, I still managed to finish some pretty big projects, a lot of which had been lingering on my needles for a long time. So very proud of that. I think another takeaway is I do not like knitting socks, and I don't think personally that it's worth it. But good for you if you love that. I mean, they're very, like, once you get it down, it is like an easy on the go project, especially once you get to the foot of the sock. Or if you're doing a longer leg, there's a lot of stockinette you can knit there as well. So yes, there are socks, but I don't think I will be a sock knitter ever, really. I personally love blankets and cardigans, and then I also love hats. Hats are just, beanies especially, are just so warm during the winter. So that's kind of, I think, my bread and butter when it comes to knitting. I did have some goals for this year. I don't remember them all. I think there was a couple. It was to make good progress on my Beatles Battenberg and my Sweet Shop blanket, and then also to catch up on my row 1. I did none of them. So again, that was because a big chunk of the year I was sick. I know that I wanted to make these matching Musselburgh hats. At the time, didn't know we were having a baby, so I ended up making an additional one. Did that. And I wanted to cast on and make some good progress on all of my straw cardigans, which are still sitting all caked up in bags in the top of the closet. The other day I was really itching to cast one on, but I was like, not yet is the time. I want to catch up on my row 1 blanket first, and then probably cast a couple on to work on. I think I counted, I have like 19 straw hat sweater quantities, again, all caked up, all ready to go. Most of them even have needles in the bag. I literally just, like, for 2 years it's been my goal to cast them on, and it just hasn't happened. So, but I still really, really want just a rainbow collection of cardigans, because I wear them all the time. This year was very different, but typically I wear cardigans all the time. Again, right now too, one reason why I'm not super itching to cast those on, and I'm waiting, is because now I have a baby that spits up on everything, and I have a wardrobe of shirts where she can spit up on, and I can wash it and it comes right on out. Thank goodness I already have most of those shirts. But I don't want to risk her spitting up on a wool cardigan that I worked so hard on, and then having to like wash it and possibly having the spit up smell or stain not come out. So I think I'm okay on holding off on those for a little bit, or even casting them on and not really working on them a ton, just kind of having them as like a background project for when I'm bored of my other ones. I think another goal that I kind of always have is just to catch up on my woobles, get all those done, and then also to do I have 2 more Wool in the Gang sweater packs that I ordered and have not done yet. I was going to do those at one point this year, but then I was like, I have got to finish these fisherman cardigans or I'm never going to finish them. And so we got those done instead. Those were on my needles for, I think, almost 2.5 years. Basically, I got that yarn the same year I started knitting, which I've been knitting for 3 years now. So yeah, like 2.5 years. I've had that yarn sitting all caked up. And so I'm very happy that that is done and over with. And my husband loves his very much. But yes, so that is kind of like the knitting year in review, I guess. Yarn, the only yarn I had coming in really was row 1, Polka Dot Creek, yarn bouquets, and for a while I didn't even have those. And then the last one was the Sunday Fiber Beetles collection. So again, not a ton of yarn coming in, especially compared to previous years. And this year I'm expecting it to be even less. Really, I'm only going to do row 1 and then see if Polka Dot Creek has any more yarn bouquets. This Christmas season, at least, I looked and it didn't seem like they did. They had 1 or 2 new ones for fall, but I didn't see any for Christmas and or the winter season, but I'm going to keep an eye on that. I think with those ones, I found a really cool pattern that does arrows. You knit or crochet arrows essentially all the way up, and so I think that might be what I want to do. I also thought about, because the Hammersphinx blanket does make arrows if you do 2 trapezoids, 1 color. I thought about that, but I think it will be just a little more than 10 grams because each of these takes about like 4 to 6 grams depending on the yarn that I'm using, and I guess my tension too. So I think that one we're not going to do, but I will probably do that arrow one. I think it'll be really cool. But that I'm not going to start until I'm done with either my Sweet Shop blanket or my Beetles Battenberg, because those ones I want to get done first. But yeah, and so yeah, we have those 2 first. This year, goals that I have, not a lot. I'm not going to set high expectations because I have a baby and I have to work. So what I would like to do this year is to, again, catch up on my row 1 blanket, which, again, I have that subscription paused until, like, I'm back at work, which I already am, but I have to get, a couple paychecks going until we have a little bit of spending money again. So we're going to wait on that for a little bit longer, but that also gives me time to catch up on that. And then the other one is I want to get about halfway done with my Beetles Battenberg. I think that's a realistic goal. Hopefully, we'll see. But who knows? And if I can get like halfway done with that, I'll be very happy. I think again, because once my row 1 blanket, because right now I have 3 blankets on the needles, row 1, Sweet Shop, and then Beetles Battenberg. Once I'm caught up with my row 1, I think I want to give it a little bit of a break again and work really hard on my Sweet Shop. And then I'll kind of switch back and forth between those, I think. I shouldn't get to the point where I am at now where I had 11 packs of row 1 yarn. I should hopefully only have, 2 to 3, just a couple months worth as I flip-flop between the 2. So it'll be pretty easy to give myself a break from my Sweet Shop blanket and work on my row 1 blanket again. I would like to knit a cardigan, or at least start a cardigan from my stash. There's a couple I've been thinking of. Either one of the Salt was a straw cardigans, or I have another bulky weight one that I would really love to cast on at some point. I got the yarn for my birthday last year. Yeah, and then the other thing is just I'll probably make a bunch of muscle briquettes. Again, because they're super easy once you get past the increases. and you just knit for like 18 inches, 18 to 20 inches, and then you do decreases and it's done. So really there's only like 2 sections that require about an hour or 2 of concentration, so not too hard. So I'll probably be making a lot of those and trying to whittle down my random single skeins. But yeah, so mostly using stash. Obviously, I have so much stash yarn. I need to work through it at some point. Yeah, that's really the only goals I want for this year. Not a ton, but I think that they're very realistic given, our new situation that we have. Other goals for myself, though, are this is outside of knitting. I want to continue educating myself in grooming. I was going to take quite a few classes this year, and then again, I got pregnant. And right when the grooming expo was in town was the same time my sister-in-law was graduating. So we ended up going to that over the classes at the grooming expo, obviously, because family comes first. But I would still like to take classes on those same topics. And I think I found a couple places in the area that would offer those. Or we can go to a different grooming expo or wait all the way. Teton's grooming expo is not coming back till next October, so it's like a year away. But if I have to, I'll wait to take those courses. And then we're starting to work towards getting like an at-home grooming salon, or saving and kind of looking at a mobile grooming like salon type thing. If I did have a mobile grooming salon, I don't know if I would be mobile full-time or if it would be I park it like in our additional parking spaces here at our facility and just have people bring their dogs to us. And then I could also have the option of if they wanted mobile, I could add on like a fee of how much gas it is and like extra time essentially. So that might be something we are looking into and trying to figure out. Probably in the next like 6 months, we'll start looking a little more heavily in that. Once that's kind of set up too, I would love to start to pursue master certifications in grooming. That was something I was trying to work towards the beginning of the year. I was looking pretty heavily into. I actually almost, instead of going with the salon I'm at now, I was going to go with a different one that had a couple master groomers there, and they said that they would help get me and do training and stuff to get me, some of the master certifications. And so that was pretty fun, but I ended up going with this other one, and then I got pregnant, so it was actually the better end of the deal, at least for our family at the time. But that is something I would love to start pursuing a little bit more of. I know. You're doing so good. Yes. Yeah. You want to say hi to the world? I think she wants her binky. Let's see. I know it gets a little hot in there, huh? And back down she goes. But anyways, that's really it. And so we will see you next time. Gotta deal with our fussy baby now. Bye-bye.